Part 1, The Breaking Point. The massive alien warship hung in Earth's orbit like a dark cloud of death. Inside its command center, Supreme Commander ZYX-427 watched in utter disbelief. His mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of extreme distress among his kind. "Impossible," he whispered. "Simply impossible." On the giant view screen before him, a human vessel no bigger than a supply ship had just survived a direct hit from their planet-killer weapon. The same weapon that had turned 3 civilizations to dust in the past cycle. The same weapon that had never failed. But there it was, the tiny human ship, not only intact, but glowing with a strange energy field they'd never seen before. The readings made no sense. The humans had somehow taken the destructive force of the blast and transformed it? "Sir," his second-in-command's voice quivered. "They're powering up weapons." The human ship's glow intensified. ZYX-427 felt something he'd never experienced in 300 years of conquest's fear. Pure, primal fear. The tiny vessel released a beam of energy, their own energy, redirected and refined in ways their scientists had deemed impossible. The beam cut through their strongest shields, like they weren't even there. "Full retreat." ZYX-427 screamed the order, but it was too late. The last thing he saw before his command ship split in two was the message being broadcast on all frequencies. It was in perfect galactic standard, though humans had only learned it 3 days ago. "You should have just left us alone." In that moment, ZYX-427 finally understood the truth that would soon echo across the galaxy: humans weren't just another species to conquer. They weren't just survivors. They were the nightmare that kept conquerors awake at night. And they were just getting started. Part 2, The First Contact. 6 months earlier, the exploration vessel Horizon 7 had made the historic discovery of the primitive planet called Earth. The initial scans had seemed promising: vast resources, manageable population size, and no signs of advanced space travel technology. The alien science team spent weeks studying Earth's broadcasts, learning their languages, and watching their primitive wars. They noted how humans still fought with basic projectile weapons and combustion engines. Their cities were unshielded, their militaries divided by nations, and their space capabilities limited to their own solar system. "Look at them," lead researcher Ven 891 had said during the final assessment meeting. "They still burn fossil fuels. They haven't even unified their planet. Some still live in wooden structures." The exploration team's report to the High Command was brief and confident: Earth would be an easy conquest. The humans showed potential as a labor force, but their technology was centuries behind. They had no energy shields, no quantum weapons, no faster-than-light travel. What the aliens failed to understand was that humans had something far more dangerous than advanced technology. They had imagination. They had determination. And most importantly, they had been preparing for this moment for over a century through what they called science fiction. While the alien fleet gathered for invasion, they missed crucial details. They didn't notice how quickly humans adapted to new ideas. They overlooked the vast library of books and movies about alien invasions that had trained humanity to think about interstellar warfare in creative ways. They didn't realize that humans had been mentally preparing for this fight since before they had electricity. Every book, every movie, every game about alien invasions had been like a training simulation, teaching humanity to think outside the box. The aliens saw humans using rockets and assumed that was the limit of their understanding. They never imagined that in secret labs across the globe, human scientists had already theorized most of the principles behind alien technology. They just lacked the resources to build them until now. The invaders' biggest mistake wasn't underestimating human technology. It was underestimating human ingenuity. While the alien fleet prepared for what they thought would be an easy victory, humans were already studying them, learning from them, and preparing surprises. "Primitive species are always the easiest to conquer," Fleet Commander ZYX-427 had declared confidently. "They see our technology as magic. They surrender quickly." But humans didn't see alien technology as magic. They saw it as a challenge. A puzzle to be solved. And if there's one thing humans excel at, it's solving puzzles, especially when their survival depends on it. The invaders were about to learn a costly lesson. Sometimes the most dangerous opponent isn't the one with the biggest weapons, but the one with the most to lose and the will to do whatever it takes to survive. Part 3. The invasion begins. The invasion started on a Tuesday morning. Massive alien ships appeared over every major city on Earth, just like humans had imagined in their stories for decades. But what happened next surprised everyone, including the invaders. Instead of panic in the streets, there was an eerie calm. Decades of movies and books had prepared humanity for this moment. While the alien ships waited for chaos and surrender, humans were already executing plans they'd practiced in theory for years. The first alien transmission was simple: surrender or be destroyed. They expected immediate compliance. Instead, they received thousands of responses, each in perfect galactic standard, using their own communication frequencies. Somehow, humans had already cracked their supposedly unbreakable codes. The aliens launched their first attack on New Delhi, expecting to demonstrate their power. Their energy weapons fired, but something strange happened. The beams hit invisible barriers, shields that shouldn't have existed. In underground bunkers, human scientists had already adapted their theoretical work on energy fields into working protections. How is this possible? The alien commanders demanded. They were using primitive rockets just months ago. What the aliens didn't understand was that humans had been thinking about these solutions for generations. They'd explored countless scenarios in their fiction. When the real invasion came, they weren't starting from scratch, they were implementing plans they'd been refining for decades. The invaders' second surprise came from the oceans. Their sensors had focused on land-based military installations, missing the network of submarines worldwide. As alien ships lowered their altitude to attack cities, they faced torpedoes modified with reverse-engineered alien technology. But the biggest shock came from human adaptability. Within days, humans weren't just defending, they were learning. Every downed alien ship was immediately stripped and studied. Every alien transmission was analyzed and decoded. Humans worked across nations, sharing discoveries at unprecedented speed. The aliens had expected a simple conquest. Instead, they found themselves facing an enemy that treated their advanced technology like a puzzle to be solved, a challenge to be overcome. An enemy that had spent generations imagining this fight. In their command ships, the alien leaders began to feel something unfamiliar: doubt. They had conquered many worlds, but none had ever adapted so quickly. None had ever shown such remarkable ability to understand and repurpose their technology. A dramatic scene of a human man with wet hair, standing face to face with an alien girl who has vibrant green skin and an expression of astonishment. Both have wet, glistening skin, with a tense and dramatic atmosphere, as if the moment is filled with discovery. They are in a modern bathroom with soft lighting and tile walls. The background is blurred slightly to focus on their intense gaze at each other. Include the title of the story, Human Body Shock, in bold text at the top of the thumbnail, ensuring it's clear and easy to read against the background. Part 4. Human innovation. Deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, in a hastily converted military bunker, something extraordinary was happening. A team of scientists from 30 different countries huddled around what appeared to be the engine of a downed alien ship. But they weren't just studying it, they were improving it. "Look at how they've limited the energy flow," an elderly physicist said, pointing to the core. They never imagined it could be used differently because it worked well enough their way. But what if we? The breakthrough came at 3 a.m. Someone had the idea to combine the alien engine's principles with old Tesla coil designs. The result was beyond anything the aliens had ever developed: a way to harness energy that their rigid thinking had never considered. Across the globe, similar scenes played out. In Johannesburg, engineers discovered that common water could amplify the alien weapon's power by 300%. In Tokyo, a gaming company's AI team cracked the alien communication codes by treating them like a complex video game puzzle. In Brazil, farmers found that their old tractors, modified with alien tech, could become powerful mobile weapons platforms. But the biggest discovery came from an unexpected place: a retired engineer working in his garage in Australia. He figured out that the aliens' own shields had a fatal flaw: they couldn't handle rapidly changing frequencies. Human radio technology, which the aliens had dismissed as primitive, became the key to penetrating their defenses. They built everything to be perfect, he explained to military leaders over a video call, but they never learned to improvise. They don't understand that sometimes the messiest solution is the best solution. The aliens couldn't comprehend what was happening. Their technology was being taken apart, reassembled, and used in ways they had never imagined. Humans weren't just copying their technology, they were reinventing it, combining it with their own primitive tools to create something entirely new. In orbital battles, alien crews watched in confusion as human ships performed maneuvers their computers said were impossible. The humans had taken their rigid, rule-based flight systems and introduced chaos, beautiful, effective chaos. Military leaders began to understand that humanity's greatest weapon wasn't their technology or their numbers. It was their creativity, their ability to think differently, to question everything, to break rules that didn't even exist until they broke them. As the fourth week of invasion ended, the alien command received a report they couldn't quite believe: humans weren't just defending anymore. They were innovating faster than the aliens could adapt. Each defeat taught them. Each captured ship made them stronger. For the first time in their history of conquests, the aliens faced an enemy that grew stronger with each passing day. And they were running out of ways to stop them. Part 5, The Turning Point, the battle that changed everything happened over the skies of the Pacific Ocean. A massive alien command ship, believing itself safely hidden behind advanced cloaking technology, prepared to launch a devastating attack on the coast. But they didn't know that humans had found a way to track them using modified whale sonar systems. "They're right where we want them," the human commander spoke quietly from an underwater base. Around him, operators from a dozen nations worked in perfect sync. Some used equipment held together with duct tape and modified alien parts. It wasn't pretty, but it worked. The trap was sprung at dawn. From the depths of the ocean, submarines that had been retrofitted with alien technology surfaced. But instead of attacking directly, they did something the aliens had never seen before: they created a massive electromagnetic web using their combined energy fields. The alien ship's captain laughed when he saw the primitive vessels. His laughter stopped when he realized his ship couldn't move. The energy web wasn't just holding them, it was draining their power using principles their own scientists had declared impossible. "How?" he demanded. "How are they doing this?" The answer came in the form of thousands of small drones, built from scratch using a combination of Earth technology and salvaged alien parts. Each drone was piloted by video gamers recruited for their skills. The aliens watched in horror as their complex targeting systems were overwhelmed by pilots who thought differently, who moved in ways their computers couldn't predict. But the real shock came when the humans revealed their secret weapon. Using modified alien energy cores combined with technology inspired by Tesla's old designs, they had created something new: a wave of energy that could turn the aliens' own shields against them. The battle lasted less than an hour. When it was over, the largest alien command ship ever built had been captured intact. The humans hadn't just won, they had done it without destroying the valuable technology they could learn from. News of the victory spread across Earth, transmitted through a network of modified cell phones that the aliens couldn't detect. Humanity had proven that they could not just fight back, but win decisively. In their remaining ships, alien commanders faced a terrifying realization: they weren't losing because humans had better technology. They were losing because humans had something they didn't understand: the ability to take failure and turn it into success, to learn and adapt in ways their rigid minds couldn't grasp. The turning point wasn't just military, it was psychological. For the first time, the invaders felt fear. Real fear. They had come expecting to find primitives. Instead, they had awakened a force they couldn't control. Part 6, Counterattack. The captured alien command ship became humanity's greatest prize. Within weeks, international teams of scientists had learned more about alien technology than they had in months of studying damaged parts. But it wasn't the technology that proved most valuable, it was the star maps and fleet locations stored in its computers. See how they group their ships? A veteran naval commander pointed out during a global strategy meeting. They think in straight lines, perfect formations. They've never faced an enemy that survived long enough to make them think differently. We can use that. Humanity's first counteroffensive was unlike anything the aliens had encountered in their thousands of years of conquest. Small, agile ships made from hybrid technology struck from unexpected angles. Earth's militaries had learned to combine their oldest tactics with the newest technology. In the asteroid belt beyond Mars, alien supply lines faced constant disruption from mining ships converted into stealth raiders. Their crews, experienced in navigating treacherous asteroid fields, moved in ways the aliens' computers insisted were suicidal until they succeeded. But the greatest shock came from what humans called Operation Trojan Horse. Modified communication satellites, which the aliens had dismissed as primitive, suddenly revealed themselves to be carriers of a computer virus unlike anything they had ever encountered. It wasn't just a program, it was a new way of thinking, designed by humans who had spent decades imagining how to fight AI in science fiction stories. Their mistake, explained one of the virus's creators, was thinking that more advanced technology means better technology. They never considered that simple might sometimes be smarter. The aliens watched in horror as their ship's perfect systems were overwhelmed by human unpredictability. Their weapons failed at critical moments. Their shields fluctuated. Their carefully planned strategies fell apart against an enemy that refused to follow the rules of proper warfare. In their command centers, alien leaders faced a growing crisis. Their crews were beginning to doubt. Some even whispered that perhaps they had made a mistake in attacking Earth. The unthinkable was happening, the greatest invasion force in galactic history was being pushed back by what they had thought was a primitive species. As the 6th month of war approached, humanity wasn't just defending Earth anymore. They were taking the fight to the stars, using the aliens' own technology in ways its creators had never imagined. The hunters had become the hunted. The aliens had one advantage left, their massive numbers. But with each passing day, that advantage meant less against an enemy that grew stronger with every battle, that learned from every defeat, that simply refused to accept the possibility of failure. The stars looked different from a human-modified alien warship. On the bridge of what used to be an alien destroyer, a crew of international astronauts and military personnel prepared for humanity's boldest move yet. They had named the ship Phoenix, risen from the ashes of defeat to bring the fight to the enemy. Earth's counterattack started simultaneously across the solar system. The aliens' rigid battle computers couldn't handle multiple unpredictable threats at once. While their main fleet faced human warships head-on, modified civilian ships struck from hidden positions in asteroid fields and behind moons. They still don't understand, the Phoenix's captain said, watching alien ships trying to maintain their perfect formations even as chaos erupted around them. They think order beats chaos. They never learned that sometimes chaos is exactly what you need. The human strategy was beautiful in its simplicity. They didn't try to match the aliens' superior numbers. Instead, they forced the invaders to fight the kind of battle they had never trained for, one where the old rules didn't apply. Mining ships used their cutting beams, modified with alien technology, to slice through enemy vessels. Cargo haulers became improvised rams, their hulls reinforced with hybrid shields. Even space station modules were turned into weapons, their life support systems repurposed to create electromagnetic pulses that devastated alien electronics. But the real victory came from an unexpected source: fear. For the first time in their history, the alien warriors felt true terror. They watched human ships perform maneuvers their computers said were impossible. They saw their most advanced weapons turned against them in ways they had never imagined. The aliens had expected to face primitive weapons and basic tactics. Instead, they found themselves fighting an enemy that treated space itself as a weapon. Human ships used gravity wells as slingshots, solar radiation as cover, and the vacuum of space as a tactical advantage. In the midst of battle, alien commanders received reports they couldn't comprehend. Human vessels were appearing from nowhere, striking and vanishing. Their crews had learned to bypass the aliens' detection systems using methods so simple they had never been considered. The invaders' perfectly organized fleet began to break apart. Ships retreated in disarray, their crews no longer certain of their superiority. The species that had conquered countless worlds was learning a harsh lesson about underestimating their opponents. As the battle reached its peak, a simple message was broadcast across all frequencies, in every alien language: "This is what happens when you push humans too far. We don't just survive, we evolve." Part 8, Enemy's Last Stand. The alien high command gathered for what they knew might be their final meeting. Their perfect invasion had turned into a nightmare. Reports showed humans pushing beyond the solar system, using captured alien technology in ways that defied all known scientific principles. "We still outnumber them," the High Commander stated, his voice lacking its usual confidence. "We can gather every ship, every warrior. One final attack with everything we have." On Earth, human leaders received intelligence about the aliens' desperate plan through communications networks they'd built using modified alien tech. The enemy was gathering the largest fleet ever assembled in galactic history, over 10,000 ships, for one massive assault. "Let them come," a general said during the emergency council meeting. "They still haven't learned. They're still thinking like conquerors, not survivors." The final battle began near Jupiter's orbit. The alien fleet emerged from hyperspace in perfect formation, a wall of ships that stretched for thousands of kilometers. It was meant to be intimidating. Instead, it was exactly what humanity had hoped for. The humans' response shocked even their own commanders. Hundreds of small ships, each piloted by crews who had trained in video game simulators, moved in patterns that made the aliens' targeting computers crash. Larger vessels, commanded by naval officers who understood the chaos of ocean warfare, created disruptions in the aliens' carefully planned formations. But humanity's true victory came from something the aliens had never considered: coordination between all their different tactics. While small ships caused chaos, Earth's scientists activated their greatest project, a network of gravity wave generators built from modified alien engines. The perfect alien formation became their perfect trap. Ships tumbled out of formation as space itself seemed to twist around them. Their fleet, designed to fight as one unstoppable force, broke apart into confused, isolated groups. "Impossible," the alien commander whispered, watching his great armada fall into disarray. "They've turned gravity itself into a weapon." The battle that followed wasn't the glorious last stand the aliens had imagined. It was a lesson in human adaptability. Every alien tactic was met with unpredictable responses. Every strategy they had perfected over centuries was countered by humans who had learned to think differently. As their mighty fleet crumbled, the alien commanders finally understood their fatal mistake. They had spent centuries perfecting their technology, but humans had spent centuries perfecting something far more powerful: the ability to face impossible odds and find a way to win. A year after the final battle, Earth had changed in ways no one could have predicted. The captured alien technology had transformed human society, but not in the way most had expected. Humanity hadn't simply adopted alien tech, they had reimagined it, improved it, made it their own. In an orbital conference room, built from a mix of human and alien architecture, world leaders gathered to discuss an unexpected message. Other civilizations, hearing of humanity's victory, were reaching out, not in fear, but in hope. "We proved something," the council chairperson said, looking out at Earth below. "Not just to them, but to ourselves. When everything was at stake, we didn't just survive, we came together and did the impossible." The aliens who had surrendered were surprised by human mercy. Instead of imprisonment or execution, they found themselves invited to learn and teach. Many were amazed to discover that humans wanted to understand them, to learn from them, even after everything that had happened. "Your greatest strength," a former alien commander admitted during a peace conference, "wasn't your ability to fight. It was your ability to imagine possibilities we never considered. You saw problems as opportunities. You turned defeat into innovation. Humanity's first steps into the wider galaxy weren't made as conquerors, despite their victory. Instead, they went as explorers, innovators, and teachers. Other civilizations, long dominated by the rigid thinking of their former conquerors, found hope in human creativity and adaptability. The old alien empire had ruled through technological superiority. The new human-led alliance thrived on sharing ideas, combining different ways of thinking, finding new solutions to old problems. In the end, the invasion that was meant to destroy humanity had instead unleashed its greatest potential. Humans had proven that true strength doesn't come from having the most advanced technology or the largest fleet. It comes from the ability to adapt, to imagine, to never give up even when faced with impossible odds. As Earth's first deep space exploration vessels prepared to launch, carrying crews from all nations, the lesson was clear: the species that had been dismissed as primitive had become teachers to the stars. Not through conquest, but through their unbreakable spirit and endless creativity. The stars were no longer a barrier or a threat. They were humanity's new frontier, and this time, they were ready for whatever challenges awaited them among the distant suns.